Welcome back to Winners and Losers, the show that usually looks at the highs and the lows of the weekend's games, but not today, because it's international weekend and nobody cares about international football. So we're looking at the transfer window. The first section is the best value transfer. And in your opinion, is Blaise Matuidi, Christopher?
Yeah, well, before I move on, let's just backtrack a little bit because we actually did the international roundup over on EFD. So if you do care about international football, then Patrick Van Straten's absolute shag pile of a chest, his chest pubes were on show left, right and centre today, then go ahead and check that out. Zach actually just gagged behind the camera, not for the first or the last time either, but yes, my best transfer is Blaise Matuidi, who was signed by Juventus for a paltry £18 million. Transfer markets actually value him at 27, so Juve paid well under the going rate. Now he's got strength. He's got stamina and aggression, and he's actually wonderful at maintaining possession. In his last 4 seasons at PSG, his pass accuracy has not dipped below 90%. Wow. So the man is an absolute metronome. He's also got a bit of bite. To add to that bark, he's won more tackles than any other PSG player in Ligue 1 since the 2012-2013 season.
That's a great
although I believe Verratti is hot on his tail. He's put in 309 tackles.
309
That's
tackles.
monstrous in that period, yeah. I think it's a great deal for Juve. Yes, he is the wrong side of 30 now, but he's still younger than Marquisio and he's the same age as Sami Khedira. The pair of them only started 46 games last season together combined. I think 32, 33 of them were Khedira as well, who actually got injured at the tail end of the season. But Marquisio perpetually injured, so probably a replacement for him. And there was promising signs on his debut too. He came on for 19 minutes and created 2 chances and completed a bunch of aerial duels and tackles as well. So the absolute monster gets my pick. Talking of monsters, you've picked one from the Premier League.
I have.
And it's shock horror, it's a Man United player.
Yeah, let the bias comments begin. Although, let's just make it clear, I wanted to pick Sead Kolasinac. Free transfer to Arsenal, brilliant bit of business. But we needed a title here for the clicks, so we've gone for Romelu Lukaku. Manchester United signed him for £75 million, but it could rise to 90 million depending on goals scored over the next 5 seasons.
I didn't actually know that.
He's also had a massive wage jump, £80,000 a week at Everton to 240 grand a week at Manchester United, which seems ridiculous, but when you go on his record in terms of fitness, it's not that mad. 37 games played in the last 2 seasons, meaning he has missed just 2 matches in the last 2 years, which is incredible for a man of his size. He's also started really, really well for Manchester United. He's shooting from fantastic areas in a red shirt. 3.6 shots per 90 from inside the box already this season at Man United. Monstrous. Ridiculous numbers. At Everton, he was managing just 2.3. Shows he's taking his chances from really good areas. 3 goals in 3 games for United and a missed penalty for the Red Devils. But if you take into international games into account as well, he's actually got 8 in his last 6.
Well, I thought you didn't care about international games. We actually cover Belgium over on EFD, so get over there once this is done.
So let's go back to the Red Devils, where his link between him, Martial and Rashford, also Paul Pogba as well, is unbelievable early this season. And given that the average age of those 4 is just 22, it's exciting times to be a Man United fan and exciting times for Jose Mourinho. Biased.
Next on the agenda is the worst piece of business, always a tenuous one. If you disagree, give us some stick in the comments below. Now I've gone for Gylfi Sigurdsson for 45 million. I think at that price it's unavoidable. And you know what? A lot of the big boys across Europe conducted some very savvy business this transfer window, and this one sticks out like a sore thumb. The previous record Everton had paid was 31.8 million for Romelu Lukaku. So absolutely smashed that for someone who's about to turn 28 next week, and no less than already signed a player in his position, attacking midfield, in Davy Klaassen prior to that.
From Ajax. Don't know why they did it.
Let's have a look at how the two compare. So last season, 9 goals, 13 assists for Gylfi Sigurdsson. Klaassen, 13 goals, 9 assists.
Similar.
But the latter played nearly 600 minutes fewer. Now their highest ever goal contribution in a season, Gylfi Sigurdsson's is 22. Davy Klaassen's also 22. Obviously Sigurdsson's operating in the Premier League. A much tougher division, the Eredivisie is very hard to predict. But what this reeks of is buying two players who both want to play in that number 10
Yeah,
role.
what's
Davy
Davy
Klaassen
gonna do?
can play in a more reserved position. He can play defensive midfield, but they have Schneiderlin, they have Idrissa Gueye, so seemingly Koeman isn't going to play him there. Now, 3 of Gylfi's goals last season were from pens, 2 from free kicks.
Set-piece specialist.
Yeah, Klaassen only scored 1 set piece last season, so he scored more from open play. And I think you can also see their contribution to open play when you look at their average passes. Gylfi Sigurdsson was only averaging 21 passes per 90 last season.
Low for attacking.
Yeah, and your boy Davy Klaassen was almost averaging 34. So neither the hub of play, but Davy Klaassen definitely more involved. So it boils down to, have they spent £45 million on a dead piece specialist when in the same summer they've also bought someone who'll be contending for the same position?
Yes,
and,
100%.
And this, we haven't mentioned Wayne Rooney either, who, if he plays in a reserve position and Sandro Ramirez plays up front, then he'll be occupying that number 10 space too. For me, mind-boggling, but you've also gone for someone else in the Premier League who's equally as hard to fathom.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really choose between West Ham signings because I've hated them all except for Chicharito. But I've gone for Marko Arnautovic because he is the club record signing at £25 million. Let's not also forget he's earning £130,000 a week for the next 5 years, which will take roughly his transfer sum to £65 million.
I believe that's more than Alexis Sanchez makes.
It is indeed. And at 28 years old, it's not the best bit of business. We already know that he's a massive loose cannon from his time at Stoke, and he's already shown that in the second game for West Ham with a filthy elbow on Jack Stevens, resulting in a 3-game ban. It just seems like an odd time to sign Arnautovic. He was actually pretty good in 2015-2016, but in 2016-17, his numbers dropped by almost half, so it seems strange. I'm not sure where he's going to play either. Goals per 90 in 15-16 was at 0.4, which is pretty impressive. Last season, 0.1. Chances created per 90 in 15-16, 1.8. Last season, 1.2. So a clear falling off in numbers.
But if they get 15-16 Arnautovic, it could be an okay deal.
It could be an okay deal, but I wonder where he's going to play. Is he going to play up front with Chicharito? I'm not too sure. He's going to play in the hole at the detriment of Lanzini. Lanzini created more chances per 90 than him last season. Is he going to play wide where Antonio plays? Antonio scored more goals than him per 90 last season. So what is the need for the outlay of £25 million? I'm not overly sure. It kind of stinks of them just needing an attacking player and lumping on Arnautovic.
Throwing shit at the wall.
And seeing what sticks, which is the West Ham way, as we all know. But which do you think is the worst deal? Is it Gylfi Sigurdsson for £45 million, or is it Marko the Psycho Arnautovic at £25 million? Let us know what you think in the poll above. Our next section is the signing for the future. Now, for me, there's only one name on this list.
Pretty obvious, yeah.
Kylian Mbappe. PSG somehow signed him. A bit of a stinky transfer. I don't really like how Monaco helped them circumvent FFP with a loan move. It seems a bit dodgy. But let's not go into that at the moment because the guy at 18 is an absolute phenomenon. 27 goals, 16 assists, and €180 million compulsory option to buy in 2018. He's actually received
not an option.
A 1,900% pay rise. Seriously, £16,000 a week to £320,000 a week. UEFA have obviously opened a formal FFP investigation against PSG's transfer activity, but it's happened now. And it looks like he is obviously going to start alongside Neymar and Cavani in a front three, which will mean Lucas Moura drops to the bench. Let's just compare them a little bit. Last season, Mbappe hitting 0.5 assists per 90, Moura 0.2. Goals, 0.9 Mbappe to Lucas Moura's 0.4. In fact, shots inside the area, Mbappe was incredible. 3 shots inside the area. Obviously, Moura, more of a winger, taking just 1.7. Mbappe did have an offer on the table from Real Madrid, but chose to join PSG, probably because of the Bunsen burner. But what an exciting front three. Neymar and Mbappe in the same team. I am actually scared for the grape farmers that are the lower level teams in League.
He's got a little red rocket below the desk.
Seriously, some of those poor level players in the bottom half of Ligue 1 are going to be in for an absolute toasting this season. Hamster, who have you gone for though?
Conversely, I've gone for someone who arrived at Monaco. I've gone for Keita Baldi Diao, who signed from Lazio for £30 million plus bonuses. Yeah, they landed the young Senegalese star on a 5-year deal, despite him being a big target for the free-spending Milan sides.
Yes.
He actually scored more goals in Serie A last season than any other under-23 player with 16, with a 32% conversion rate. Lukaku, who scored 27 league goals, was it last term, had a 23% conversion rate. And that was how I think Zlatan was on 16, which was a little towards the low side, to give you some perspective. But yes, 32, which shows when this guy gets the chance more often than not, almost 1 in 3, he puts it away. But is he the right man to replace Mbappe? Well, they share a lot of similar characteristics. He's fast, he's strong, he's direct, he can play in a number of positions, not just out wide. In fact, when he started as a centre forward for Lazio, he scored 7 goals in 10 starts there.
That's impressive.
Which is hugely impressive, given this was one of his, his breakthrough seasons, similar to Mbappe. Now, in 21 starts as well, he completed 53 take-ons and created 43 chances. So while he only got 3 assists last term, he probably should have had a hell of a lot more. I can't wait to see him strut his stuff in Monaco. He, similar to Mbappe, he had other options, but he likes the project at Monaco. He knows that he's going to be put in the shop window for the next 2 or 3 years. Yeah, and he's going to earn a big money move elsewhere, and that's the business that Monaco like to do. But what business do you like? Who has been your one to watch, your star of the future in this transfer window? Let us know in the comments below. For our final section of this transfer window special, we've gone for a transfer that should have happened.
Yes.
Joseph, yours was a big one.
Yes, it was. Marco Verratti to Barcelona. I was desperate for this one to happen. I'm not going to lie, of course. Barca saw a reported €100 million bid turned down by PSG for the Italian magician. Now, Barca's CEO Bartomeu even came out publicly to say the club and the manager wanted the player. The agent of Verratti then came out and said, look, he wants to move. PSG are treating him like a traitor, like a prisoner. All went a bit wrong from there because he was then forced to stay. He released an apology, didn't he? But nevertheless, this would have been an absolutely gorgeous transfer if you're Barcelona. For me, he offers a nice little mix of Iniesta and Busquets in that midfield line. I did indeed. Chances created per 90 last season. Let's have a little look. Marco Verratti, 1.7. Iniesta, 1.7. Busquets obviously lower, 0.5. Key passes last season. Marco Verratti, 1.5. Iniesta, 1.5. Busquets, again, a bit back, 0.4. But then you look at the defensive work. We were expecting Busquets to be really on top. Interceptions and tackles per 90. Busquets, 3.6. Verratti, 3.9. Obviously, Iniesta a bit lower, 2.4. But you put that all together, and he is a gorgeous hybrid of Busquets and Iniesta. He'd have been perfect in that midfield role. But no, they couldn't pull the deal off and opted to go for Paulinho. He only signed a new 5-year deal in 2016, meaning he is there until 2021 with no buyout clause, so PSG are in an extremely strong position, especially now the transfer window has blown the up. I would have liked to see it happen, but Hamster, you've gone for a slightly different flavour for your one, haven't you?
Yes, my friend, I have gone for the Algerian maestro Riyad Mahrez, who was linked with a number of clubs, wasn't he? Even at the start of the window, Roma were heavily interested. I think bid around 31 million for him. Leicester were holding out for 40 to 45 million, and rightly so, because I think if he went to a top club, his output would soar. Now, he was close to joining Chelsea, Barcelona and Manchester United, apparently, according to numerous sources. But the Chelsea link seemed viable, didn't it? He left the Algeria camp to apparently have a medical somewhere in London, circa Paris. So, as I said, Chelsea made sense from that point of view. They could probably use the wide support. They've got Willian, who started the season really well. Pedro obviously had a cheek fracture, I believe, which is kind of stunted his start to the season, but he had a great season last season. He was a lot more decisive than Pedro in front of goal. So if they brought in Riyad Mahrez, competition for places would be very healthy.
I like
in that
I
front
like that.
line. Yeah, that's how you win titles, isn't it? But Mahrez made no secret of the fact he wants to go. He handed in a transfer request in May. Leicester kind of accepted this, but they also said that no club contacted them on the final day of the deadline.
Well, a few people
window.
said United did though. Few people.
Yeah,
Nibble
odd.
at
It came out that they were the most realistic target.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I don't really understand where he would have played. It surely would have meant the end for Jesse Lingard.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Mourinho fancied a bit of him after that league tie against Leicester, where he completed the most dribbles on the pitch. I believe he completed 5 in 90 minutes,
really good.
Despite being Leicester being on the tail end of an ass whooping. Probably should have been more than 2-0. But yeah, so he's going to return to Leicester. Huge bonus for them. Huge bonus that they're not getting Andros Townsend to replace him for 27 million, because that would have easily made my worst transfer of the window. The Brexit solution to Riyad Mahrez. But guys, who's one transfer that you wished had happened? Let us know in the comments below. Alexis Sanchez to Juventus or PSG or Man City?
To Man United.
Yes.
So that's all we've got time for on this episode of Winners and Losers Transfer Special. Hamster, what happened on Euro Roundup today?
Told you, mate, didn't I? International break. Don't try and, backtrack now.
Well, we're all buzzing for the international break.
Let sleeping dogs lie, mate.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. We'll catch you later. Auf Wiedersehen.